Welcome back to the Papa Meat channel. How you doing? How you doing? Come on in and sit on down because we have another enthralling episode of SCP Meat. Today we're talking about one that has been heavily requested. SCP-610, aka The Flesh That Hates. Now this was uploaded on April 11th, 2009 by a user named NekoChris. So without further ado, let's get into it. Which I will say that 610 is considered a Keter class, which is much like our good friend Cousin Johnny, which is pretty much a threat to mankind itself. There's very specific ways to contain it, but today, if you're a fan of The Thing, if you're a fan of The Blob, if you're a fan of body horror, then stick around because this one is right up your alley. So without further ado, let's go. Wait! We want to talk about a beautiful partnership that we have on this channel, and it's with GamerSupps! Now, if you know me, I love GamerSupps. In fact, we have a nice collaboration coming very soon, because GamerSupps is the best, all right? I just want to say that. Fuck coffee, fuck energy drinks, give GamerSupps a chance. You have caffeine options that give you a nice boost, that get you up and ready to go, zero sugar, keto-friendly, and they even have non-caffeinated options just because the stuff tastes so goddamn good. You'll want to have it late at night and not have to worry about having a fucking panic attack right before you're about to sleep. With all these beautiful waifu shakers and beautiful anime shakers at the gym, you'll be the sexiest little minx walking around the floor. Or you can choose between all of the fucking amazing flavors they have, because I don't think I've had a bad one. I legitimately don't think I've had any bad flavors. If you use promo code PAPAMeat at checkout, you get 10% off your order, or you can even sign up for some free packs to try it yourself, free of charge, because you know why? You'll definitely be coming back to get some of this beautiful, beautiful magic. But also, like I said, be sure to be on the lookout because we'll have our own little flavor and shaker coming very, very soon. Thank you so much to our beautiful partners at GamerSupps. Be sure to check them out. They're fucking awesome. Back to the video. So we're gonna start off by talking about the containment procedures, which as a general rule of thumb for this, 610 is more of like a large body of like it's a large mass. It's a big fleshy mass that infects a large area and inhabitants within it, and even crawls on non-living organisms and stuff. It's like a flesh-like weed that covers living organisms like people, animals, and it even crawls up on non-living organisms like houses, stone, I mean anything, like an invasive weed as well. So it's pretty interesting. Let's go over the special containment procedures for this SCP. Let's get into it. Due to the vast area of infection 610 covers, containment is impossible. Isolation of the area has proved far more effective, and the permission has been granted by the Russian government to establish a perimeter to keep people out of these areas under the guise of military operations, which, listen, dude. Russia, containment areas, we're all familiar with these fucking mumbo jumbos, these goons hiding things, but it is very interesting that the only way to really stop these things is to pretty much make a giant bubble around the area to where it just cannot spread anymore. Kind of scary. Being trapped inside of a bubble. There was that terrible horror film, or there was like a comedy with like a bunch of stars. The movie flopped. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like a COVID movie. Remember that? It was like about like a bunch of comedians and they were trapped in a bubble. And it's like, oh, the pandemic. Ugh. Whatever. That's my fucking SCP-610. A Hollywood comedy about COVID? Holy shit. Should any organism displaying traits consist of 610 be sighted near the perimeter, then the established protocol requires it to be engaged at a range with small arms until immobile, then dispatched using incendiary weapons and munitions from as great a distance as possible. Any living thing coming in physical contact with an organism infected with 610, it's considered expendable and is to be immediately terminated and incinerated, which is pretty fucking sweet. So if you even remotely come in contact with this thing, I mean, they're just like, kill him. Be killed because there's just absolutely no way. I'm trying to think of something similar. It's the Hollywood COVID film all over again. That's how these motherfuckers did it. The Bubble! Ah! Thank you. The Bubble. God, that movie was fucking terrible.
Fuck that shit. You started out hating, now you love my drip.
Good God. Any persons coming within 3 meters of SCP-610 infected life are to immediately withdraw from the area, be isolated from the rest of their team, and subjected to medical examination using only remote techniques to determine if infection has occurred and appropriate steps taken based on that determination. At present, the known infection vectors 610 spread seem to be focused on physical contact. Drone movements with heavily infected areas have returned air samples containing minute particulates, which when exposed to organic compounds will result in the spread of 610. The result of these these particular tests have revealed that most required several days to manifest, if at all, with the exception of direct contact with exposed lung and liver tissue. These particular tests show a rapid rate of growth, which requires incineration of the testing environment no more than 24 hours after initial exposure, with even a 2-hour mishap risking a compromised facility event. Given that this kind of rapid growth only occurs in organic material existing outside the human body, this form of infection is currently considered a minor concern. So they have to use literal drones to go in to test the air. You have to basically have all these containment procedures. If you go in, you have to be isolated for a period of time to make sure that the infection has not gotten you. We are not going to risk this shit at all. But I do like the use of drones, dude. Especially during a time of when this came out. When did this come out again? 2009? Drone technology must have been fresh. Transformers just came out, and then all of a sudden we're talking about drones and shit. What the fuck is going on there? You know what I mean?
Obama used drones.
What was that?
Obama used drones?
Obama used drones to kill terrorists. And then he did that speech talking about how they got Osama bin Laden.
9/11.
And that was kind of cool. Anyways, these peculiarities have given rise to a series of questions regarding the possible origin of the infection in conjunction with the failed data redacted or expunged, fuck you, containment protocol remains at a scorched earth policy at this time, and no concern for transmission via water or air infection perimeters exist barring situational changes in the field. So Nick, does that pretty much mean that there has been no signs of it spreading into the water, into the air? It's just in that area.
Yes.
And it's a scorched earth, which means that it's just dead earth. They consider that shit dead earth. Which, you know what's kind of interesting is that we're finding here, we saw that small arms effect, which they mean guns, and incendiary rounds, which means fire. So it seems like fire hurts this thing, but yet they don't decide just to scorch it off the earth. They might say it's scorched earth, but I feel like they're just keeping it alive because this is like some umbrella shit. This is like they're going to try to test it to make it seem like it's going to be some kind of weapon. They're trying to weaponize it, I bet, somehow. That's what fucking governments do, dude. They weaponize stuff. You know what I mean? I want an SCP that's like the Cat in the Hat. And they try to make the Cat in the Hat like a fucking espionage ninja. Motherfucker just shows up with some munchkins and wreaks havoc and then cleans your house up. You know what I'm talking about? That'd be kind of tight. I could see the SCP Foundation doing it. Anyways. All right, so let's talk about the description of 610. We gotta figure out what the hell is this thing, so let's just describe it already. Which initial reports of 610 came direct from Russia's government through indisclosable channels. Every Russian government is an indisclosable channel. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't trust anything coming out of Russia. There, I said it. I don't care. If we have some Russian viewers, just know I love you because you watch me and you know, you're a fan of me, but I don't trust any more. I probably don't trust your dad or your mom. Just want to put that out there. I will say the comment, like the Russian flag with the hammer and sickle is tight. That's all I'm going to give you. And the large communist paintings are sweet too. That's it. And the Art Deco is very, very cool. It looks like Candyland. And also you have a lot of good directors, like the guy who made Stalker. That's all I'm going to give you. And you have a very cool accent. I'm getting off topic here. These reports consisted primarily of disappearances of farmers in the region and were not considered until the local police, followed by the regional police, and finally a government dispatched agent all failed to report within a 72-hour period. Oh, okay. So they're saying they didn't give a fuck about the farmers dying. They didn't give a fuck about the local police dying, but it's when the regional police and the government dispatched and they all failed to come back. That's when they're like, oh, okay, comrade, I need to figure out what we're doing here. A small military contingent was dispatched to the area and quickly withdrew, at which point the Foundation was contacted to investigate. How many innocent lives, dude? It's fucking Stalingrad all over again. My God. The area 610 affects is close to Lake Baikal in southern Siberia. Ooh, if you know me, dude, my dick gets hard over Siberia. Serbian film? How many times do I have to say Serbian film before people start taking that shit seriously? Okay? Good film. Fucking watch it. Containment parameters are marked in blue surrounding these infection areas, and as a part of the present, no further locations have been identified. Incursions into the perimeter must be reported prior to conducting, confirmed during exploration, and debriefed on immediately following return. Areas of known infection are marked on a map provided to us here. Click that map, please. Let me see the map here. Yeah, I guess it's just that little area. I mean, I don't know Siberia, so this could be anything. How do I know this isn't just risk? How do I know this isn't Sid Meier's fucking personal journal for civilization? Get me out of here. Hurry, click. Get out of there. Nick, hurry! Oh, okay.
I was trying.
Okay. You know what I don't like about SCP stuff? Is they always talk about this like, oh, as soon as you get back, you gotta tell us what's going on. When the fuck do we get a little breather room? You know what I mean? Did I not just go into a fucking area in Siberia where it's like infested with all kinds of shit? Can I not just get a quick 10 to myself? It's always like, debriefed on immediately following return. God damn, dude. 610 appears to be a contagious skin disease at first, with symptoms including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity. Cabin fever vibes. I like that. My mind immediately goes to the cabin fever scene with the girl in the bathtub when she's shaving her legs. The sound effect they used for that made me gag. Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue to form into the chest and arm areas, spreading spreading to the legs and back within an additional hour, consuming the victim completely within 5 hours. Exposure to high temperatures vastly decreases the time for the contagion to spread and complete. Infections have been recorded occurring in as little as 5 minutes. Wow. Okay, so that's kind of interesting. So they're sitting there saying that if you're in a hot area, or like if you're in, let's God forbid you get this fucking infection in a sauna, your ass is done. But it also kind of insinuates too that if you were cold, it would be slower, which is kind of interesting too. What I like here though is the symptoms including rash, itching, and increased skin sensitivity. Within 3 hours, the disease will cause blemishes resembling heavy scar tissue to form in the chest and arm areas. I'd be curious if it starts in your face at all, and if there could be a thing where it's like, you know, when heavy drinkers, if there's like a heavy drinker, usually they have like rosy cheeks, or that you start to get some of those like not varicose veins. It's just like, I don't know what they're called, but they're like little red veins in your cheeks. I imagine that it starts off kind of like that. It would probably be really hard to realize, oh, this is, you know, I have a problem here. Just like little subtle blemishes, I don't know. After the completion of the infection occurs, the victim's life functions will cease for approximately 3 minutes, after which they will restart at 2 to 3 times the activity rate of a normal human. Okay, so they're they're basically turning into a fucking zombie. I don't know if I like that. Can I say that? Is that too rude? It's just the idea of dying and then you come back. It's just the zombie thing. I lived through all of the zombie craze of the early 2000s. And let me tell you, that shit was like, you couldn't fucking escape zombies, dude. Following this, the scar tissue on the victims will start to move on its own accord and grow at a rapid rate. Whew. That's some nice body horror, like that. Normal human features start to disappear at this point under the infection, and the path of mutation appears to be largely random. Subjects observed in the stage of infection have been recorded as growing 3 or more limbs of a type, such as arms or legs. The head may become misshapen and elongate or widen out, and parts of the subject may be split open from which additional branches of flesh will grow. Sick. The duration of the stage of infection is unknown, and not all subjects appear to progress in later stages. What I like about this is that you basically become a fetal alcohol syndrome baby with an elongated head. And then I like the idea of you growing multiple arms and other kind of appendages, and also just more flesh, just a nice flabby flesh. You ever see a guy who's lost, which don't be looking at me, all right? You ever see a guy who's lost like 150 pounds and he just has like a big flab of flesh? Like his skin is just obviously stretched and now it's just skin that's hanging. To see that multiply is really interesting, especially with, you know, and not that the aspect of growing multiple appendages is really unique, but it's always a fun visual. It's hard not to just smile when you start getting into body horror where there's just bones crackling and skin stretching and slimy kind of goodness and all kinds of flesh folds over each other. Visually, I'm in heaven right now, all right? Under unknown conditions, an infected individual will cease moving and place itself in a location it deems suitable where it roots itself. All right, Last of Us, you want to fucking, what are you doing there, huh? They're like, it's different, it's mushrooms. It's fungi. The fleshy growth on the victim will then begin to spread itself across all surrounding objects and consume them. Such objects do not spread the infection as living creatures do. However, and the effect of a prolonged contact with these objects is recorded later in this document, it is assumed that this behavior is to create an area hospitable to continued growth of the other infected. Ooh. So 610 basically becomes a cesspool for growth to other infected people. That's a lot of fun. And especially, I like the idea of them just being like, they look at a couch that's just like covered in skin, and they're just like, I'm gonna sit here for a while. And that just becomes their suitable area. Some motherfucker just holds up an infected Long John Silver's. I think I might settle here for some time. Observation of life infected by SCP-610 by staff is impossible. So basically they're saying that you cannot observe people that are infected. Those infected with the disease immediately seek out aid as natural human impulse, resulting in unattended infections. Those infected pass the scar tissue phase, actively and aggressively attempt to infect anyone approaching them within an undefined area. It has been established that should an infected be capable of sight and observe an uninfected, it will proceed toward them. If the infected has lost the ability of sight, a range of approximately 30 meters is considered safe. Okay, so these motherfuckers be going blind. But it really doesn't say how they infect people. I'm guessing that it's just, do they bite them? I mean, they're kind of alluding to zombies, but I like the idea of like, even if they fucking like breathe on you, they're like breathing out this toxic haze. Because what we're gonna find here later is that it's like a little area. There's like spores that pop, which once again, for 2009, when did The Last of Us come out, Nick? 2013?
2013, yep.
They gotta address some shit, because this sounds oddly familiar. Just with the overgrowth aspect, you know what I mean? Which I do like. My mind, when they talked about being rooted into the area, it made me think of Pirates of the Caribbean 2, when Davy Jones, or Swashbuckler Ben, whatever the fuck his name was, he like is embedded into the ship and he kind of like rips himself out of the wall. Kind of makes me think of that. You know what I'm talking about? Will Turner's dad? It doesn't fucking matter. Observation of 610 infected settlements has been established using artificial methods such as remote robots. Okay. Dude, anytime someone says robots, I'm not a big sci-fi guy, so anytime someone says robot, I could get down with drones a little bit. Dude, I've watched some drone racing before. Pretty cool. Robots, though? Come on, dude. The data returned from these observations, coupled with the openly aggressive nature of the infected to attempt to spread SCP-610, has resulted in the Keter classification. However, so long as nothing is allowed to enter or leave the infected area, it is considered a neutralized threat. Of concern are the cavernous areas beneath the infected settlement that were discovered during the exploration, and attempts to get research personnel into these areas are underway. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. So basically what they're saying is that it is a contained area. They did do a Netflix, The Bubble, or whatever fucking streaming platform that movie came on. My God. What's interesting is also the infection is spreading down and it's creating like little infamous caverns. Almost like a weird Gears of War kind of like vibe. Like little infection spreads there and there's like people existing and roaming around these small little caves, which I'm a claustrophobic fat piece of shit. So the idea of caverns with infected people that are just like, oh, help! This sense of desperation in their voice. If they're recently infected, if not, I imagine they're probably pretty lifeless or they're just kind of like brain rotted, but still, people wandering around a cave just pleading for help seems pretty fucking sweet. And they might even have like multiple hands, multiple arms or legs, and they don't even know why. They're probably just in extreme agony. Really, really sweet setup here. This leads us into the field logs here. We do have a document here of 5 entries. 6 technically, but the last one's been redacted, so don't know what happened there. But these field logs kind of show some of the things of this Siberian area and how the infection spread through various drone shots and other kind of the Foundation personnel going in to find stuff. So without further ado, let's get into the first field log, which is L1, which states here, a small remote-controlled rover is sent to the Site A to locate missing personnel, as if it's like a fucking Mars rover mission. I don't know how I like that, dude. I'm not a big robot guy. You ever look at what's Boston's thing? Boston Dynamics? Jesus Christ.
You don't like them when they dance?
I don't like when they dance or do backflips or anything or run up that stupid, goofy-ass course with all the boxes. I don't fucking like it. I also don't like that you can't push them down. What the fuck's up with that? Couldn't just program, be like, hey, if these things act up, you can push them over? Nope. That's done. Do those motherfuckers run on 4090s, you think? You know what I mean? Little NVIDIA fucking cards? Are people gonna be scrapping them like they're fucking Nigerian blood diamonds? After establishing the containment parameter for SCP-610, the Russian government approved our request to research and investigate the area. For such exploration, a small camera-mounted unit known as Herbie, gee, fucking kill me. Herbie fully loaded. You ever see that, Lindsay Lohan? The talking Volkswagen bug? Oh my God. Was dispatched at a safe distance and directed towards Site A.
Say perimeter. You said perimeter.
Did I say parameter? Perimeter. I don't say words correctly, and if you get mad at that, you can go fuck yourself. Herbie is able to enter Site A without incident. The landscape around Site A shows early stages of assimilation by singular 610 infected who have fallen at largely random intervals around what remains of the village. Many of the homes appear to have suffered fire damage long since put out. However, a fair amount remain intact. Aerial reconnaissance of Site A has put it in an estimated population of 79 infected. Ooh, okay. Well, you know, whenever they say village like this, it always makes me think of like Resident Evil 4. Like I kind of imagine a very simple old-timey village, people just like farmers, that kind of thing. And now there's like these dilapidated kind of older village buildings that have all kinds of infected in it. And to even say here that there's 79 infected is pretty interesting at different stages. So people were infected through different times, which kind of shows the slow spread that it had amongst the town. Or I guess I should say probably relatively fast spread. God knows how many people died during the situation. Varying degrees of physical mutilation due to 610 are present in Site A, and it is assumed that all inhabitants are in advanced stages of infection. Herbie, oh my God, observed the exterior of the village for 2 hours, during which time all infected behaved with what appeared to be a loose sense of social structure. However, the central plaza experienced occasional bursts of activity and downtime, requiring more information. Herbie was directed to follow an infected as it entered a home. So this is a little log here from Herbie, and this is just directly from the log. This is what Herbie got to examine as that little cocksucker was going and following a poor infected bastard into his home. Quote, after entering the home, Herbie's camera was raised slowly so as not to draw attention. The infected person is watched from the doorway as it hobbles around the home and stops at each other visible infected organisms. What this creature was before infection is unclear. Now, are they insinuating that we don't know if it's human?
Yeah.
Interesting. So it must be moving in a way too where it could possibly very well not be on 2 legs. Or if it is on 2 legs, it might not have a human-like form anymore, but it's stopping at each visibly infected organism. That kind of leads me to believe that it is, oh wow, that image is sweet. That's pretty cool. That does look like a very Siberian kitchen if I've ever seen one. Ooh, I kind of like that though. Little motherfucker walking around, probably has some like goat legs or some shit with like a human baby face or something. Also, quote, the primary infected person known as Alpha henceforward stops at the bedridden infected known as Beta and proceeds to assault it with furious punches. Beta is unable to leave the bed for unknown reasons, but is not completely immobile as it flails its arms in response to the beatings delivered by Alpha. This sounds like my grandpa and grandma. Alpha, as in my Alzheimer's-ridden grandfather just beating my poor grandmother, Beta.
Power Rangers.
Alpha Ranger. That's interesting. What the fuck did Beta do? Alpha, which is I guess they're insinuating that this is the first infected because of how far it's been infected.
I think it's first observed.
Or first observed, sure. But even then, I mean, like, it's pretty far gone, which I guess they're all like that, but goddamn Beta is just bedridden. It's just laying there, and all of a sudden Alpha just goes up and beats the shit out of it. I'm angry! Alpha continues to assault Beta for several minutes until a piercing sound explodes in the room. Beta then proceeds to project a cloud of unknown matter into the air from its chest cavity. Oh! So literally, it's popping like a goddamn spore. Alpha lingers in the cloud and begins lapping around the house. Alpha sits down at a dinner table and begins setting the table. Which, here's another quote. I'm just gonna keep reading because it's kind of interesting. After the plates are positioned, the facial tendrils extending from Alpha wiggle up and start to coil on one of the plates before tearing apart and separating. This is repeated each plate. So is he breaking each plate?
So a tendril comes out, it coils up,
Yeah.
and then breaks. It's like almost like a over here soft serve or something.
Oh, so the tendrils are coming out and being broken as if they're gonna eat them.
Yes.
I see. Which that image, I just want to say again, is very, very cool. Looking at the image here, I don't know who did that artist rendition, but that is fucking brutal. I will say the food is extremely shiny. Everything's very, very shiny. Also, God forbid you put a picture on the wall.
This is Siberia.
Yeah, Siberians don't believe in pictures. I forgot about that. Afterwards, Alpha gets up from the table and leaves the house. Then a group of 6 or 7 infected enter the room. God damn, the whole flock. Which here's another quote from the log. Each infected shambles as if moving is difficult, jerking in large steps or squirming in small ones. These infected all surround the table and each takes turns grabbing handfuls of the flesh substance left behind by Alpha, pressing it into whatever orifices on themselves that they can. Some into their mouths, some into their chest, some in their backs, some under their arms. When all the plates are empty, the group leaves. Damn, dudes, these people are shoving their mouths, their ears, their pussy holes, their assholes, their cock holes, anything that they can do, just shoving it in. There's just, anytime somebody mentions orifices, you know, they're just like, you know what we mean. We're not talking about mouth. An orifice. They're trying to be like, I want to say asshole or cock or pussy hole, but I can't, because that would make it look too cheap. You know what I mean? Herbie follows the group, and immediately after leaving, Herbie runs into Alpha, our first infected person. Panning the camera around the obstruction appears to be Alpha, whose facial tendrils are intermingling with another infected having similar mutations. The impact is ignored, and the two infected part ways after several minutes. So he kind of gets locked up, dude. So it kind of seems like a little drive-by kiss, huh? A little bit. Herbie then goes on to investigate a nearby store and sees an infected Russian soldier inside. In the back of the room, there's a large pile of bodies. There's a mix of both military and civilian clothes. Here's another quote. Atop the bodies, an infected sits, appearing to have its lower part fused to the pile and with its upper half in a wild state of flailing and seizure. Approximately every 10 seconds, a burst of spores flies out the top of the infected, which linger in the air. Herbie is directed to leave the building. Oh, that's pretty sweet. We're getting into some like levels of one of James Gunn's movies called Slither. I really love just masses of flesh and people kind of fused into that thing. Kind of the same thing as the ending of the movie Society. There's just nothing cooler than a big blob of fucking humanoid skin just tied together. And the idea to have the every 10 seconds burst of spores fly out the top of these infected is just really, really cool. I love the idea of just a big cloud of just infectious gas. It's just sitting there waiting to infect somebody. Like it's continuously trying to get new hosts to almost join this large mass that has become this town. Herbie leaves to investigate the town hall, and Herbie passes by a well. A series of infected are standing arm in arm, forming a chain as they stare down the well. Herbie passes the last infected and suddenly gets snatched up. Well, Herbie, you flew too fucking close to the sun. What is he's a drone, right? Or he's a rover. They're trying to act like, hey, let's sneak the rover around. It's a giant fucking mechanical, probably has like treads. There's like, it's squeaking and fucking jostling around, all kinds of cords and shit. It's like, what do you, I mean, they might be infected and stupid, but motherfucker, I mean, like they have eyes and ears, you know what I mean? Video feed from Herbie focuses on the face of the infected, which is strangely in the perfect shape, given the condition of the rest of its body, which is horribly bloated. This infected was once a young girl from appearance, age estimated between 10 and 12. Damn. Herbie is rolled side to side in its grip as it face stares, motionless at the rover. The infected face suddenly balloons in size and explodes outward in a series of fleshy flaps that grips Herbie and draws it inside. Herbie's video feed terminates here. Ooh, I love that. The drone was considered lost at this point, but after 5 hours, the drone's video feed came back online, and the drone was unable to receive commands and appears to be melded to SCP-610. Suddenly, the video feed is cut and all the footage is ordered to be deleted. So essentially, we can assume that the drone or the rover here has been stuck in this fleshy mass because the little girl's face explodes and the feed cuts out, but when it comes back, it's pretty much a part of the infection now, which is also such a nice, like, doomsday kind of prep to this. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a perfect way to start this nice excursion, which at some point they're gonna have to send people in, I would assume. We get into L2, the second log, and it's titled, "An infected class D personnel is sent into Site C with video equipment." So we're talking about D personnel here. Very quickly read the beginning here just so you understand what exactly a D personnel is. During construction of the perimeter surrounding SCP-610's containment area, several Class D personnel were infected due to assaults from infected villagers or animals roaming the area, in addition to a number of infections as a result of escape attempts and careless behavior. Which, if you don't know, Class Ds are pretty much prisoners, and this is all forced labor, which is fucked up. Because what they're saying here is they're just like, hey, you know that infected area? You're arrested. Go build that bubble. And it's like, all right, do we have any protection? Nah, just build it. You'll be fine out there. And what sucks too is some of the Class D personnel, the prisoners, are then just being like, why the fuck am I building this? I'm just gonna go run off. But inevitably, you can't, they're gonna run through probably some toxic gas field and get infected as well. Which, in turn, as we've read before during the containment procedures, as soon as they figure out you're infected, you're fucking dead. They're just gonna snipe you in the head or something like that. It's just not worth it. Most of these infected personnel were immediately destroyed with flamethrowers. All right, well, there you go. However, a small collection of infected were contained in a cold storage unit, which prolonged the inevitable progression of SCP-610's mutative properties. I knew it! Hot goes fast, 6 goes cold, bitches. I fucking knew that. The decision was made to utilize some of these infected personnel as video relays and dispatch them into nearby sites. So basically, they're saying that even if they're infected, they're just like, hey, go work until you basically become a brain-rotted monster. I bet you they lied to him as well. If they knew that they were fully infected, there's absolutely no way they're gonna be like, they probably sat there and they're like, so, Doc, am I able to run free here? You know, what's the plan? And they're like, you're fine. Healthy as a goddamn horse, you better get back out there. This is gonna reduce your sentence until, I bet you honestly it was something fucking corrupt like that. You do this labor, your sentence will be reduced. And it kind of gives everybody a nice initiative, you know what I mean? Which, due to the concern over loss of equipment as evidence in SCP-610-L1, our first log, the drone, all 3 subjects that were used in manner were sent in with a single video system to Site C. Additional equipment issued for this dispatch include a 1-gallon container of gasoline, 3 emergency flares, 3 9mm pistols with 3 magazines of ammo each, and 3 single food rations. So what we can see here is like a gallon of gasoline, maybe to start a fire or to maybe power some kind of car, but I would almost assume that it's like throw it on something and burn it. I really think that the first 2, emergency flares and gasoline, are just used as like, hey, start a fire with this. Because even if they light the emergency flares, they're not gonna go in and get them. It's like you either come back uninfected or you're not coming back at all. Which is also why you have the 9mm handguns to basically help yourself out. And then you have 3 single serving food rations. These guys do not expect them to be out there long. If anything, they just expect it to probably be just a fluke of a mission. You know what I mean? I'd say the S word, but God forbid YouTube hears that. The infected personnel were instructed to observe and avoid interaction with the infected villagers as long as possible, but should a situation arise where they are met with aggression or feel they are losing themselves to 610's influence, they are free to kill as many infected villagers as they so choose and do as much damage to the infected objects and property as possible while maintaining video feed. All right, what's interesting there is infected objects and property. Almost makes it seem like, does it somehow like biological tissue enter a car and then like a car becomes a lot like infected property? Are we assuming that Herbie is fully loaded and he is going to attack people? Is kind of what I'm wondering. It seems like it. I mean, that seems kind of fucking cringe. I hope not, but you know. The intent of this order was to provide data for 610 infected communities in a raid situation so a plan of eradication could be better established. Okay, so they're basically sending these people in to just be like, all right, how the fuck do we actually destroy this thing, is what it seems like. At the time of this expedition, Site C was suspected to be a possible origin point for SCP-610, having far fewer mobile infected than other sites, as well as structures which appear to have been layered over several times with a terraforming effects on the immobile infected. Dispatch Class D personnel, known henceforth as DI-1, DI-2, and DI-3, were directed to pay particular attention to anything that could be considered an origin point for SCP-610, which I'm wondering if it means detained inmate 1, detained inmate 2, detained inmate 3, is what I wonder if that means. If Class D is just detained, and then I is an inmate for the prison aspect of it, right? The trek from our parameter camp to Site C was uneventful. There is no evidence of any native animal life in the area. As Site C is approached, there is a noticeable rise in the temperature within the last 30 meters of the trip that necessitates removal of the heavy cold base coverings that were provided. Why would you remove that, dude? It seems like the area, or SCP-610, is involuntarily creating some kind of heat source so the infection spreads even faster. It's like the organism itself understands that it knows how to infect things rapidly to have itself survive and evolve in these situations, which is pretty sweet. The temperature rises again sharply at the entrance to Site C proper, which requires a further further shredding of garments for fear of heat stroke. Site C is described as being heavily humid, around 32 degrees or 89 degrees Fahrenheit. Come on, dude, 89 degrees? These Siberian prisoners don't know heat, dude. Go to Houston in July and come back and talk to me, dude. God damn. Site C had an array of immobile pylons. What's a pylon? Which encircled what is believed to be an entirety of the site. Each pylon appears to be 2 to 4 infected persons fused together in one spot. Yeah, so they're just like living structures. They're not actually the actual structures. It's just like they look like them. 2 to 4 infected fused together, huh? And some of these pylons features such as faces or anuses are still visible, in addition to several other holes which do not naturally occur, all appearing to act as heat vents. Oh my god, ass heat vents. Just shit gas just poured into the... You ever fart and your pants get, like your underwear gets warm?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's all I'm thinking about. All right, you made that weird. Where the heat is generated is unknown. Current belief, what do you mean it's unknown? It's the fucking asshole heat, dude. It's the fucking it's the devil's kiss right there. Current belief is that this is an advanced stage of SCP-610 terraforming its environment to facilitate spread of itself. So yeah, it is learning and growing, and it's trying to basically figure out a way to survive, much like the brave citizens of the bubble. Don't keep putting the bubble jokes in. I don't think it's gonna land very well. DI-2, who was the furthest along in progression of SCP-610 of the 3 by a number of hours, begins to seizure after only a few minutes in Site C. Why the fuck was he so far ahead? Hours ahead of them? There's 3. Why would you be so far ahead? Jesus Christ. The progression to the scar tissue phase of 610 infection is observed in full course as DI-2 spasms on the ground, his entire body being overtaken by the sickly tan flesh almost entirely after 45 seconds. God damn, that is fast. DI-2 is terminated by a gunshot from DI-1 and his equipment left where it is. The spread of SCP-610 over DI-2 continues even after death of the body until all movement ceases. Oh, interesting. So it's like, even though the body's dead, the organisms are still trying to it's almost like some kind of weird infection is still circulating through his body to squeeze out any life left, which is kind of sweet. Also, fucking DI-1, dude, didn't give a fuck, dude. That motherfucker just shot that guy in cold blood. You're compromised. Pow! As perimeter control is relaying new instructions to DI-1 and DI-3 regarding the situation, there's a shift in the ground covering the Site C where DI-2's body is. Video feed shows the flesh-like growth splitting open beneath the body and a series of ropey tendrils coming from within the gap to pull his corpse inside. The opening closes up quickly, time elapsed 3 seconds. Damn! 3 seconds? The ground splits open and tendrils suck him up in 3 seconds? Holy shit. I mean, look. 1, 2, 3, gone. Think about that. Also, I love this kind of, it's getting very pagan to me. Return to Earth vibes, you know what I mean? It's nice. I really enjoy this thing that's we don't really understand what's even beneath the surface of this infection. Fearing the same, DI-1 and DI-3 decide to act quickly. They proceed to the village center and encounter another previously unknown phenomenon. In the precise center of the town, rising above what was the community well, is a sphere suspended by an angled supports composed of SCP-610 flesh. This ball is riddled with the features of humans in early stages of SCP-610, infection, as well as good number assumed to be in the later stages. Ooh, so it's just accumulation, a ball of people early infected and later affected, just strung up in the air by the well. What is going on? They keep mentioning the well. That's probably the source of it or something. I wonder if it's water-based, maybe? A number of specimens of non-human life forms, such as deer and bears, are also visible within the mass. Oh, dude, being stuck forever with a fucking deer, bro. The entire sphere of flesh pulses at roughly a 5-second interval, and with each pulse emits a ring of spore-like material from its equator. This material floats to the ground and appears to be absorbed into the converted environment. I love that. Almost like its heartbeat is, every time the heart beats, it's like a little Febreze blast, little tss. One of those automatic Febreze things. You ever sit in a bathroom, you don't know they're in there, tucked away in the corner, and then it scares the shit out of you when it sprays? You're like, oh! And it does a little click. DI-3 begins to douse the sphere with the provided gasoline, and when questioned by a panicking DI-1, explains this looks as good a thing to burn as any. Yeah, ain't no shit. DI-3 doing work here. At this point, perimeter control has ceased giving commands due to the rapid deterioration of events. There is no reaction from anything within Site C to any of this activity until the precise moment at which a lit emergency flare is applied to the spherical mass. I fucking knew that was going to be used for. I called it, dude. Did I not? Which immediately goes up in flames. Hell yes, it does. The remote feed plays back a noise from an unknown location that seems to come from a location far outside Site C, but was reported as being heard even at perimeter control by Sites C and A. This noise is described as both explosive and alive. Ooh! So basically, somewhere else is the actual hive, and it could feel the pain here. So that kind of sets up something cool where if you shot something far away from the hive, it would still be able to feel it. So it's just kind of growing, and it still has neurons and feeling receptors. It's able to feel all these different things. I bet this thing's gonna get pissed, dude. Within 15 seconds following the sound's dissipation, Site A reported that a series of explosions had occurred within the village. 5 seconds after the report, the spherical mass in the middle of the Site C explodes. Multiple explosions, so maybe different spheres exploded with one of them being burned. Both Class D personnel are thrown by the blast. DI-3 confirmed dead by DI-1, who was dragged off screen and then thrown up in the air, presumably killing him. 3 seconds later, an unknown creature steps on the video equipment and destroys it. Oh! Perimeter control remained on high alert for a full 24 hours at all locations without any incident following this event. Yeah, right. Perimeter control remained on high alert for full 24 hours. Yeah, fucking right, dude. They sat by and watched a video camera feed part-time. Oh, that was crazy. I don't know what happened there. That is pretty sweet, though. Are they trying to insinuate that after the explosions and after that thing, it triggered this creature to come out and protect the area or like get rid of the nuisance?
Yeah, like antivirus.
Yeah, like an antivirus, exactly. The body is signaling to this area like, hey, there's trouble here. That thing immediately moves out. This weird creature that we've never seen before, some weird mass that doesn't look human, picks up DI-1 and just fucking chucks him. Brutal. DI-3 was the man, though. He didn't give a fuck. He was just like, I'm burning this thing. I don't give a fuck. Which log 3! Initial discovery of the tunnel entrances at Site A. So Site C is possibly just gone. It might just be, oh, so okay. That's what they meant by scorched earth, is that it's actually just burnt completely to a crisp. The immobile 610 infected rapidly shriveled and died along with all the flesh material spread across inanimate objects within the village. Interesting. So, dude, fucking DI-3 is the man. That motherfucker, I don't know, well, hold on, we don't know what he was in prison for, though. If you're in an SCP prison, dude, you're probably like,
Your death row inmate, probably.
a death row inmate, but I'm like, you know, to me it seems like to be in the SCP prison system, right? It's like you ask too many questions or something. Fucking Snowden. I'm gonna say DI-3 is Snowden.
Oh, Epstein didn't actually kill himself. He's a Class D personnel.
Epstein actually went to, he was DI-3. So actually no, DI-3 was a bad guy. We're digging ourselves quite the hole here. Well, let's crawl out of this hole. All right. The mobile 610 infected proceeds to enter an upper-class building, which collapsed, revealing the presence of a sinkhole beneath it. Okay. Evidence suggests that something pulled the building inside with the intent of exposing the hole. And the hole is approximately the size of 3 grown men standing shoulder to shoulder. So definitely there were 3 people there, and something from underground pulled them inside and broke the foundation of the hole on the, like, basically the foundation of the building. It's estimated that it goes down more than 1,000 meters. God damn. It's like the fucking ocean. 1,000 meters. How is my American brain's trying to? How long do you think 1,000 meters is? Are we even close to a mile? I don't want to say that and it sounds stupid.
It's 0.6 mile.
0.6 mile. Half a mile. Not that far up, dude. You can't be that mad at me. Half a mile underground. That's pretty crazy. Infected that did not evacuate into the hole died above ground and quickly became shriveled husks. Oh, interesting. Fuck! Stop saying interesting, Hunter, dude. You sound like a fucking idiot. How long do you think 1,000 meters is? So some of the infected actually fled for their own safety. So they were cognitive enough to know that. I like how some of them are just like, I can't escape. And they just shriveled into like a raisin. Research teams began collecting and testing samples in the vicinity of Site A, and seismic activity began occurring at Site A, and immediately following this event, a torrent of 610 spores erupted from the hole. Ooh. Basically a giant queef gas enveloped the area. I'm telling you, dude, I really like the idea of this thing being underground, especially seismic activity, weird earthquakes basically happening. That's sweet. As the eruption was being reported, both teams at Site A came under attack from the aerial life forms infected with SCP-610. It is impossible to tell what they mutated from to this present state, so we have no idea even if they're animals or human or what. Many of the avian creatures attacked by splitting their heads in half and clamping them against research members. That's awesome. Pulling them into the air and dropping them into the hole when possible. What if these fucking birds, dude, what the fuck? They clamp down on you like one of those little clip things that keep the chips fresh, and then they just lift you up in the air and drop you in the hole. How fucked up is that, dude? I'd be like, dude, just kill me. Don't drop, just crush my head. What the fuck are you doing? These avian infected proved vulnerable to small armed fire. In dispatching them, a total of 2 research staff were lost to the hole and 1 injured due to crossfire. The injured staff was put down immediately upon showing signs of infection due to a suit breach. Yeah, so they were trying to shoot the birds and it proved totally ineffective. One motherfucker got shot. He got shot twice. He got shot once in the leg. He's like, I made it out. And they're like, oh, there's a tear in your suit. He's like, no, 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 no. And then just gets shot in the head. A second seismic event began to occur and a second spore burst erupted from the hole. During the rising seismic activity, new unseen 610 entity began to emerge from the hole. The only footage captured of this creature depicts an engorged human head approximately 20 times larger than normal, pressing itself out of the hole with no discernible body. Video and radio contact were lost as seismic forces increased. Further aerial surveillance of the Site A hole, an area a-hole. Come on, dude. At the Site A, I'm just gonna say hole. Fuck. The things get me to say a-hole. Fuck! Site A hole and area depicts zero activity and no traces of the research teams or their ever having been there. All personnel and equipment are considered lost. That's the ends of the third one. So, okay, so the thing at Site C, that's totally scorched earth. Then they go to Site A because of the seismic activity. Turns out to be a giant fucking human head that pops out. It's basically queefing out spore dust that's infecting the area. What's cool about what's happening in log 3 is it almost seems like because the infection lost one of its areas, it seems like it's like compensating, spurting out more air and infectious material to maybe try to recompensate or try to regain some ground or newly affected areas that might be able to spread out once more since it lost such a pivotal area, it seems like. Especially because Site A is one of the older ones. It seems like the newer areas have more life. More actual humanoid people are able to walk around because they're not totally infected and like just a pile of liquid flesh. Like I'm assuming what's happening at Site A. Everything's been so infected that it's just boiled down to like folds and folds of skin, which are pretty sweet. Log 4 here says unmanned exploration of Site A tunnels. Unmanned, dude. Get some men in there. Or boys, dude. Don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask, don't tell on those tunnels, dude. It's a crazy thing the Army did that. Events regarding the discovery, research, and handling of 610 rapidly degraded to a point where fail-safe options were being considered. With the absence of activity at Site A, a remote drone dispatch was authorized in 2 parts. The first part was a drop remote relay device at the entrance to Site A sinkhole, and the second part would dispatch a drone into the hole directly to relay its data from the remote relay for transmission back to HQ. So basically 2 drones, both going to the sinkhole where the big fucking head and the queef gas was in the air. Also, this is some time after, so the head is no longer there. So it popped up, and then we lost all radio control, and then when we come back, it's just a sinkhole again. So who knows what happened to the head? It could have crawled out, it could have gone back in, so I'm curious here. Attached is the video log recovered from Site A sinkhole drone before it's lost. Upon entering the hole, the drone illuminates a rough... Okay, so there's no actual footage. Oh, that's fucked up to say that. That's fucked up to say attaches the video log recovered. Okay, so this is just the log. Attach the video next time, come on. Upon entering the hole, the drone illuminates a roughly dug shaft. It is not clear how the hole was made, but it would appear it was created by a single event rather than dug over time. Yeah, dude, it was probably because of the fucking, those explosions, right? One of the explosions earlier, remember from Site C, then it heard the explosion from Site A? It was probably just one of the giant explosions there. Probably some kind of weird defense mechanism where it exploded and dug itself deeper underground for safety, possibly? Traces of 610 material are attached to the walls of the hole. It is unlike the samples from above ground, which shrivel and dry rapidly. This material retains its texture and appearance. That forbidden flesh hole, dude. The forbidden fleshlight. At roughly 250 meters, which, like we said, the hole is 1,000 meters deep, so about a quarter of the way down, the bottom of the sinkhole becomes visible and movement is detected within the sharp tunnel holes. Lights on the drones are dimmed and weapons come online. Oh, sick. Lights of the drones are dimmed and the fucking miniguns become activated, okay? The movement appears to be coming from what appears to be a deer, uninfected, but wriggling in grip of tendrils composed of 610 material. The drone proceeds ahead and ignores the deer. Dude, put the deer down. God. The deer's like writhing in pain. It's like making weird sounds, and all of a sudden I like to think the drone's just sitting there and it's just like... and just like moves off on its own. That's fucked up, man. Whoever's controlling that drone has no fucking heart, dude. The guns are, you know what's funny about that is the line literally says the guns are online. You could have put the poor bastard down, my God. Unless it's trying to hide itself by not shooting a gun and compromise its position, but it's a fucking flying drone. Have you ever heard how loud a drone is? Like, well, you can't be, what are you gonna be secret with that thing? Come on. After some time traveling through the tunnels, the drone stumbles upon what is assumed to be Site B. All right, here we go. But here's a quote from the log itself. The buildings here are coated in deceased layers of 610, and unlike other buildings in Site A and C, which were coated in 610, these buildings appear to be constructed directly from the tissue substance. Ooh! So Site A and C are just coated with the substance, the skin, the infection. This one is actually made. Site B is actually made with the substance. It's like its foundation is propped up on that. After a scan, it's determined that there is no life here either. So the drone goes back to the tunnel. And here's another quote. It says, upon descent into the tunnel, a deep roaring sound fills the audio and video feed, becomes choppy as something blocks the signal. During the periods in which connection to the drone is clearest, its camera and weapon are angled downward and propellers slow in speed to allow a faster drop. Rushing up forward, the drone from the area below is what appears to be a large human face stretched to 20 times its proportions with no features, save those created by the 610 material. There are eye sockets but no eyes, a mouth with no teeth. The drone fires upon the rushing massive 610, but the bullets do not deter it. Impact points remaining visible for several seconds before closing over themselves. There is no room in the tunnel for the drone to take evasive action, and it is swallowed by the mass. Which, That makes me think that's the weird giant face from earlier, but it kind of seems like it's deteriorating, like it's dying, almost. Like, sure, it's getting shot and the bullet holes are there, and it's regenerating, but at the same time, it's like it's losing its teeth. I mean, it's becoming less human, which doesn't necessarily mean that it's dying, but in a way with, like, it's losing shit. It's not really gaining stuff. If anything, if it had, like, multiple eyes, more rows of teeth, you'd almost think that it's thriving, if that makes sense. Do I feel high? It's almost like a giant deflating jack-o'-lantern. It's kind of what I picture in my head. And now it's on the defensive too. Like it sees the drone and it eats it. It's kind of like it's burrowed itself into a defensive position. Our SCP-610 is considered lost until 3 hours later when the feed inexplicably returns. Yeah, these fucking drones. Dude, how many times are we gonna have a drone feed go out and then it just kind of turns back on? Whatever, dude. The camera pans around without instructions from the remote relays or HQ, capturing a vast number of shambling entities within the area. 610 material moves over the lens of the drone and the feed is permanently severed. That's the end of number 4. So it seems like it's almost even making a little army. It's multiplying down there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I was too quick to judge with the no teeth thing. It's hard to know. If only they would have put up the fucking drone feed, huh? Could have seen it. Instead, we get to play oopsie daisy here. We are on log 5. Like I said, log 6 is redacted. So this is the last log that we actually have of the video log and the actual transcription of it. So I'm curious to see where this goes. In the last log here, it's manned exploration of Site A tunnels. Why are they doing this to our boys?
You just asked to bring the men down.
Yeah, I did, but you know what? I feel bad now, dude. I'm thinking that it's like a guy, you know, it's kind of like, I don't know, a guy who like, maybe he stole a TV. He was down on his luck and then he's just like, oh, by the way, you're getting sent to fucking SCP prison. He's like, what? Right? And now he's manning an exploration to the Site A tunnels. So here we go, log 5. Approval from Central HQ was granted for a manned assault excursion into the tunnels beneath Site A to try to ascertain the extent of S610 infection. Okay, so they're trying to, a manned assault, so they're trying to fucking snuff this thing out. Or at least so they say. I don't trust these dudes. So they have a healthy relationship with the fucking Russian government. The Russian government's being like, hey, no, seriously, come over here and help us. That feels odd, right? The destruction of Site A and Site C have established that 610 can be contained and destroyed. Okay, so only Site B is left. Wow. Making the source of the infection top priority. The initial descent into the tunnels consists of 5 teams, 2 research and 3 assault, along with enough equipment to establish an underground base of operations. What do they do? Fucking camping down there? We're gonna make it's a condo. It's a mobile condo here and there's Wi-Fi hotspot. We do have Helldivers too. It's very, very cool. Assault teams were the first to descend, armed with flame units to clean 610 out of the area. All teams were able to descend without incident and flame units took point, providing an undisturbed journey toward the water source where RSCP-610 drone was lost. Okay. A base camp for underground 610 was established at a 3-way junction. The cavern area here is quite large and supported by a number of rock formations that are coated with decayed 610 material. The state of the material suggests great age and appears to reinforce the structural supports. Whether this is intentional or coincidental is unknown. Well, it sounds like if you fucking kill the thing, it's gonna collapse on itself. So good job, guys. You're gonna that's gonna be your tomb. The 2 research teams split activity. What? The 2 research teams split activities between building cavern HQ and collecting samples of 610 in various states. Why not go with one of the assault teams so you have some fucking protection? Now you just have a bunch of fucking nerds being like, why don't we collect tissue while the guys go burn stuff? You know what I mean? Can't walk with them while they're burning shit and do that. Hey, can you guys cover me? I don't know how to use a gun. I don't even know how to flick a lighter. It hurts my thumbs. Jesus Christ. No contagious materials were detected within this area, and the creatures recorded by unmanned drones did not appear at any point in the cavern staff. Of the 4 research teams, 3 were ordered to proceed down the unexplored pathway. Yeah, good idea. While an aerial drone was prepped for a second recon of the vertical shaft. I am so tired of fucking drones, dude. Get the drones out. No 610 infectious life forms were encountered, and the fleshy material coating the cavern walls posed no threat to the team. The most significant reports at the time were the increasing thickness of material suggesting a source and the complete lack of SCP-610 containment in the water. As a test, a sample of a sample of 610 was cut away from the cavern wall and placed in a flow of water. It exhibited no unusual reactions, but was quickly swept away by the current. That's a good fucking idea. Wait, what? They just let the flesh go? Okay, bye. I'm sure that'll have no repercussions. What the fuck? One of the team leaders ordered a buggy to be delivered to HQ, and upon its arrival, the assault teams came under attack by a number of large 610 infected life forms that emerged from the area ahead of them. The SCP-610 infected made no sound and were undetectable. From the video feed, it appears that some of the creatures are coming out of the 610 material of the walls. Ooh, sweet. Kind of like Urukai. You remember that whenever Sauron's sitting there, he's like, who are you? And he's like, I'm Lurtz. And he's like, oh, you better go, and I'm Christopher Lee, and I'm the evil wizard in these movies. That kind of thing. Which also, can we just go ahead and say that the Urukai are way fucking better than any of the other Mordor goblins and orcs and shit? Urukai rule. Wish we could have seen more Urukai. They also had the fucking sweet blades, the flat ones that had like the little pointy tips off to the side, like the left. All right, I guess I'm just talking to myself here. Not emerging from them so much as created by the material and then breaking away to act independently. During this assault, blank members were lost to the water currents and contact with them was lost. Wow, okay, so the water currents that we fucking put the weird infected flesh in, that's not gonna be an issue. The remainder of the assault team was consisted of 3 members armed with a single flame unit. Use of this unit to repel this assault proved that vital as standard firearms did minimal damage to the infected creatures. These infected creatures show minimal traits to associate them in any form of life in the region, given rise to the belief they may have been spawned by 610 infection itself as a form of defense. Well, yeah, I mean the SCP-610, it's been defending itself this entire time. It's been making stuff. It's been queef gas, big anomalous creatures, like even like the way that like whenever the big ball of flesh got burned, even then it spawned a creature that would win out and stop DI-1 and DI-3 from doing shit. At the perimeter of the area, now known as Site B, the team came under assault again from a smaller number of 610 that were much larger in size. These infected appeared to be in the tunnel as if they were lying in wait for the approaching team. These creatures were dispatched using a flame unit, although all fuel of the unit was expended in this act. What do you mean? You said you were able to set up a fucking base and you don't have enough fuel for the fucking flame unit? Are you kidding me? We're setting up a sweet condo with a tight little mini pool with a cowboy pool. But we didn't bring enough gasoline for the fire. Isn't that weird? Okay. The assault team was now limited to standard weapons and short-range personal flame units. Okay, well if you have short-range personal flame units, then you probably have some kind of fuel, right? The team proceeds farther into Site B, cautious of further assaults by 610 infected. The tunnel widens out into what appears to have once been a village of indeterminate age. The construction of the buildings in the area are primitive compared to the settlements of Site A and Site C, and are clearly human construction. Of interest is a building that appears to be a church with a working clock tower. Oh! I love this. I love it! I love this area. Get me into the fucking church with the clock tower. Are you kidding me? Surrounding all structures in this area is a depression in the ground filled with a substance resembling a liquefied form of 610 fleshy materials. The pool moves as if acted upon by minute and unseen forces, rippling outward from invisible contact points and rolling in waves from unfelt winds. The team avoids this pool at all times and proceeds through the ruins slowly on stable foundations where possible, making the church their target area. Inside the church and the pulpit is a hole in the floor exposing the area of the 610 pool beneath the building. Working clock tower, and this thing is residing under this clock tower in a fucking pool? How metal is that, dude? The church and the ruins appear to be uninhabited, and exploration of the church proper is uneventful until the clock tower bells toll. Okay, here we go. This tolling triggers a shudder in the building, followed by human screams from the ceiling. Lights shown upon the ceiling reveal a large mass of 610 from which descend a series of 6 wooden circles. Strapped in each circle is a living human coated entirely from neck to toe in 610. Yes. Yes! But having an exposed head which appears uninfected. These human captives scream as the bell continues to toll and the circles move to the ground. The teams begin to move toward one to investigate when an unknown creature cries from outside the building, prompting them to take cover in the shadows near the pulpit. Light sources are extinguished, pitching the entire area into darkness. Night vision is left off to avoid revealing the team's location. Ooh. I'm wondering if their head, because their head is not infected, if they have like human consciousness still. Like if their brain is still functions as a human. It's kind of a cool idea. I mean, I don't know. Sounds continue to emit from the outside of the church, drawing closer but lower than the frantic screams of the captive humans. At least one noticed the team as the captive humans often call out to be saved. Okay, so there you go. That's fucked up. Hey guys, come back! Can you guys help me? You guys by the door? They're like, shh, shut the fuck up! From the entrance of the church, a candle lights on the side of the doorway, then one on the other side. A figure is seen holding a small torch and moving back and forth between a series of candles to light the doorways. The flame is then applied to a rope coated in 610, which quickly ignites and spreads up a peculiar chandelier system at the church entrance. The light from the system illuminates most of the crosses, but does not reach the team's hiding place. Those captives who appear in the light do not show standard signs of the beige-colored 610 infection, but instead are wrapped in a red variant of it, which shows signs of constant motion, rippling across itself in waves. Vecna! Vecna! From outside the church, a flood of 610 infected shamble quickly into the area, ignoring the man who lit the candles and stand in the middle of the room. Oh, they're doing a church service, dude. They proceed to the captives on the wooden circles and begin to pull at the red SCP-610 masses, resulting in further screams and cries. From what can be gathered from the return video feed, the red SCP-610 seems to be connected to the captives and is using them as a source of sustenance. That then uses to grow and feed normal 610 infected. Overly zealous infected tear at the red mass too hard, which results in pulling skin and tissue from the human captive beneath. This exposed area is quickly covered over by red mass, which then grows in size. Feeding like this continues for approximately 6 minutes, in which time the candle-bearing figure sounds a gong. The candle-bearing guy has a gong? What? Wait, hold on. All right, so the motherfucker has a gong now, and all infected entities move to the pews. There are several more creatures than seats, but none move past the frontmost pews. I mean, this is kind of cool. It's kind of going into like some weird Dagon territory where instead of fish people, it's like weird infected people now are in this weird religious cult. Where the fuck did they get the gong though, dude? I mean, they're in Siberia. They're not that far from like an Asian country, right? Where gongs are most prevalent. Like I always think, like what, China? Gongs are primarily from China, right? Is that racist?
No, I don't think so.
I hope not.
I'll Google it.
Yeah, I don't, if it is, count that. The figure who sounded the gong does not move, spontaneously collapsing as if made from hollow clay. From the pulpit area, activity is noticed as a pillar of 6'10" flesh rises through the hole and extends, directing itself toward the gathered creatures. No sound is heard and no motion is recorded once the pillar stops moving. This silent period persists for 10 minutes without even the human captives making a sound. Having fallen silent at an unknown point, the pillar of 6'10" retracts back into the hole it emerged from without any warning, prompting the departure of the infected from the building. The candles remain lit and the team emerges after all infected appear to leave the area. The descended captives remain at the ground level as well, all screaming, seeming to have ceased but still showing signs of life with heavy breathing and movement. I mean, it seems like even though they're pulling stuff off, it almost seems like the red material is like healing them. It's kind of like a Prometheus vibe. The vulture, you know what I mean? The vulture comes, rips out your intestines, and then you get regenerated, and it's like, and you have to like, you have this kind of ritual every day as a punishment. And these figures, I don't know if it's necessarily a punishment, but it's like, it's almost like, to me it reads like that. The people come in, they feed off of them, almost body of Christ-ish, and then they have their silent sermon, which it almost thinks to me it's in silence, but I'm wondering if it's talking to them telepathically, those infected maybe. Some kind of communication is happening, but these people are obviously in charge. A hive mind kind of vibe. Upon departure from the church, camera feeds from all three members become erratic. Camera 1 ceases transmitting completely. Camera 2 shoots straight up into the air for several meters, and camera 3 captures the member with camera 2 being flung by a tendril that emerged of the ground itself, swinging them out of sight onto the other side of the ruins. Camera 1's feed is restored and displays camera 3 owner running briefly in the direction of the lost team member, only to turn and run back as 6'10" infected pour from between buildings. Combat ensues between the two members and the onrushing infected using assault rifles and personal flame units, successfully driving back onto the horde to make an escape toward the buggy. Passing by a building, camera 1's owner is ambushed by a figure resembling the figure who was in the church lighting candles, wielding a large crop scythe. Okay. So he has a gong and now he has a fucking Grim Reaper scythe? Okay. Camera 3's owner continues without pause towards the buggy location. However, the buggy is found half absorbed by SCP-610 mask covering the floor. While turning to find another way to escape, Camera 3's owner turns to find the same figure with the scythe approaching. Weapons raised, 2 shots are fired and the camera feed ends. 5 hours later, while final decisions were underway to decide how to contain and eradicate SCP-610 threat, time-delayed video feed from a lost team member who fell into the underground river currents was established and has been filed in SCP-610-L6, and that's the L6 exploration records of Operation Source Point, and those files have been lost. And that's all we have for The Flesh That Hates. You know, it's an interesting thing. There's a lot of different horror stories that this feels similar to. One I would recommend is a found footage horror film called Borderlands, which is about a pagan god who lives under a church, and they kind of do something interesting where they go down these tunnels, and at the end they go into its intestinate tract system and they get kind of eaten in a really fun way. But there's elements of The Thing. There's elements of, like, you could even say like Wicker Man with some of the cult-like personalities here. Even Lord of the Rings with the Uruk-hai, right? But what's interesting is, I don't know if I'm such a sucker for cult-like shit that it's to a T. Like if I saw this in a show and we got the fucking clock tower church in the basement or whatever, dude, sign me up. But them walking around the infected area and it's all flesh, I mean, of course the creature's gonna know where you're at. You're like walking on its skin, so it's gonna know where you're at. So I'm almost wondering if maybe while they were waiting in the dark, were they being indoctored into this new ritual thing? Because it seems like everything was ready. Motherfucker had a gong and a scythe. Ready, okay? He went to Spirit Halloween and he picked up everything he fucking needed. That being said, it makes me think, it's almost like in the ending of the movie The Blob, there's a pastor character who the whole time is talking about the end days. And at the end, when the blob is eradicated, by freezing, mind you, which in this they're saying that fire is most effective, but I almost thought that they would freeze it. You know, obviously flames would eradicate stuff, but still, heat makes infection spread faster and cold temperatures make it move slower. So I was almost thinking that they would freeze it and it would kill the cells somehow. I don't know. But at the end of the blob, he gets one of the crystallized pieces of the blob and he has it in a jar and he's kind of like now the master of the doomsday, which maybe thinks was there this like kind of, they're talking about Site B being kind of a extremely rural, like very old town. Is this like a weird, crazy priest that has taken over the area? He was infected once, maybe thinks he's the chosen one somehow. And now SCP-610, they don't know how to eradicate it because it's like almost like this cult that lives underground. It's pretty sweet. And also, you know, the name, The Flesh That Hates is just, pretty fucking amazing. But that closes out SCP-610. We have gotten recommended that one so much, it's unbelievable, and it was a lot of fun. You know, it's not as crazy and goofy as Cousin Johnny and it gets depraved in that way, but as a thing that I'd like to see visuals of, I would love to see more of it. There's some of the pictures in the story that it really brings the imagination to life and it's cool, but I would love to see some kind of actual moving picture of this made. It would be a lot of fun. But if you have any suggestions of SCPs we should cover in the future, please leave them in the comments below, and we hope that you enjoyed this rendition of SCP Meat. We will see you next time. Thanks, guys. Also, before you go, just want to say on our Patreon right now, we're doing SCP-040-JP, which is the Burrowed Mansion, and that's just a little exclusive we're going to be uploading to our Patreon here. So if you want to support the channel and all the shit that we do, please consider supporting the Patreon. It really helps us when we get age-gated and get nuked into the fucking ground by YouTube. So I appreciate you guys for considering it. Please be sure to check the link in the description for that link as well. And we appreciate you for checking that out.